What is your opinion of charter schools?
Yes, good afternoon. I apologize for being late. I'm a church musician and I was providing music for a funeral service this afternoon. I have an opinion about the charter school and our public schools as well. We talked about getting back to the, someone mentioned getting back to the grassroots, going back to the basics. We've got to get back to the basics. We've got to start thinking outside of the box. The reason that the charter schools are so successful is because they do think outside of the box. I've been in all of the schools in both counties. And when I go into charter schools, I see things up there, slogans and quotes that's pushing those children in the right direction. The teachers in there have an expectation. Everybody's on the same sheet of music. No two teachers are saying, okay, child, you walk by me with your shirt tail out, but then the next teacher is the villain because he or she has to say something about it. We've got to get back to the grassroots. Discipline, discipline, discipline. I can't tell you the numbers offhand, but I'm a licensed professional counselor supervisor by training and education. And so I work with our children in the county who have behavior problems, emotional problems, mental problems, behavior and academic. We've got to get back to the grassroots. Those people, they are assessing those students. They know where they are from day one. You cannot come in this building and tell me we're going to make some repairs and you don't yet know what the problem is. Basic is knowing what you're dealing with and then working through that. I have been to so many meetings with students and parents because those folks are getting the community involved. They're getting the parents involved. They invite me to come into those schools and sit in those IEP team meetings. What is your opinion? And then everybody work together to make it work. We've got to get back to that. They're going to continue to not only graduate 98% of their students, but they're graduating 98% of our students. And if we don't get on the ball and start doing something different, we're going to continue to have a problem. GCP has a lot of good stuff going on, and instead of us trying to reinvent the wheels, our public schools might want to get involved and figure out what they're doing. There's too much reinvent the wheels going on. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And the question, as I understand it, is my opinion about the charter schools. I was glad to see that our state lifted the moratorium on the number of charter schools. It was set at 100, which would be about one per county, obviously. They have lifted that, and now they have been bombarded with applications for new charter schools. The reason is because charter schools seem to work. There is definitely a place in each community for one. I have no problem with a charter school. I think that there are things as a public school that we can learn. And perhaps what we can learn first and foremost is that at Gaston Prep, they require parental involvement. I don't know how we can address that as a school board, but perhaps that needs to be top priority for us. It seems to be working for them as well as private schools that require parental involvement. So to gain the discipline that we do so desperately need in our school system, perhaps it starts at home and not in a school board meeting. So I am in favor of charter schools. I certainly think there are things that we can learn from the charter school as a whole and as an individual in our own county.
I'll be brief on the question as far as the charter school. I am glad that the charter school is as successful as it is because they're still our children that they are educating and they're taking up the slack that we are doing in the public school system. So that does give them an opportunity to go somewhere where somebody has their education and concern. They're concerned about them being educated. So I'm glad that they're being so successful, but like Mr. Williams was saying, we need to figure out what they're doing and maybe we need to try it out ourselves. We need to make sure in our school system, in our public school system, that we are placing the leaders that we need in our schools. We need people placed in there that care about our children, that are going to roll their sleeves up, and when the going gets tough, they're going to get going instead of getting out.
having any problem with any school. I feel like all schools are there to educate our children. And I am very, very much in agreement with all of the people that have spoken. But you all know that the public schools don't have a lot of that parental involvement. And sometimes I've seen parents at the schools that are not really helping the situation in the public schools. I know about GCP as well, because my children were going there, and I know there is a contract they sign. Public schools don't have that contract. But the children still have parents or persons involved with the children that are supposed to help ensure they get a good education. You know and I know that always the children get that same help, because a lot of them are coming from different backgrounds in the public school. That sometimes is what we're dealing with, and why the children sometimes have a much harder time adapting in the public schools, where they can easily get in the public school, you can't easily get in the charter schools. So we need both. However, I'm in agreement, no matter what school it is, you need the right educators, and you need to start, like one of the people ahead of me said, parental involvement is the key. Because if you don't train your children at home, we're in no place to raise your children at school and then try to educate. Amen. Because the only thing we have at that point is a parent looking down the teacher's throat. Teachers sometimes get fearful, or you have agitation from the children because the parents have told them something at home and they come to school thinking somebody's going to get you if you don't stop. So we're trying to educate. But when you got 21 in the class, and we have some people in here that have served, you have 21 in the class, and you maybe got 3 or 4 that are acting out. How am I going to teach the others? No, it's not going on a GPC because they put them out. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I worked before the charter school started. And I've been working longer than anybody in this room, 32 years. First of all, it's 180 days in a school year. I want you to understand that 180 days in the school year for the state of North Carolina. Now, a child is being paid by the state per student. And you're talking about the first 10 days in the school system, I, along that time, sent a report to the office. First 10 days, it goes up. Principal sent it to the superintendent sent it to the State Department. After the first 10 days, they give you enrollment, what you got in your system. All right, make it short. But if you send a child, you're talking about the charter school, different kind like that, the child go over to a charter school, mess up, you got the rules and regulations, mess up, come back, the money goes with them, and money don't come back to the public school. People don't know that. If you have not been in, therefore, I would say, if you set your rules in the classroom, the first day, the first 4 days in the room, and go over your handbook, and set your rules, do's and don'ts, you can teach a child. You can teach a child because you got your rules. But you ain't got no rules, and don't abide by and treat them fair, somebody gonna get out of the, go to the office. And I never, all my years teaching, never saw a child to the office. Don't believe it. You a grown man, you a grown lady, you have to teach your own class. And you go in there and close. And that's what it is. Remember what I said, the money goes back, stay with the child where he goes. If he go to the charter school, the money send him out there, they don't buy by the rules, they send him out. If he come back to public school, we take him. We have to take him, because you can't put him out. And where is the money? Oh, they're at the charter school. And that's why we can't do nothing. And that's I know what I'm talking about.
You could talk about charter schools on a state or national level, or you could talk about it locally. I'll choose to talk about it locally. We're lucky in this local area that we have a good charter school in this area. It is not only good on state standards, it is good on national standards. I'm sure you've all read that and kept up with that. I would like to regress 1 minute. I was trying to answer the previous question based on the number of graduates that were going to higher education, not on the graduation rate. Northampton County Schools has a high graduation rate also, 98+%. It's not that high going on to higher education, so I was trying to answer a different question earlier. Charter schools make me nervous on a national and state level as well as a local level. It makes me nervous because of what it might end up going to public education. You and I get sick, we seek high-level medical care. We go to the doctor or hospital of our choice. But if some people get sick, they go to the health department, that's the only choice they have. I'll let you think about that a minute and relate that to education. And I will say that if charter schools had the same rules and procedures and guidelines as public schools, then there'd be about a level playing field and everybody would get along a lot better.
I have to say that I agree with Mr. Matthews, and he so eloquently put that. We can't play by the same rules in the public schools that the charter schools play by. Like Mr. Majette said, they take a child, they keep that child for a certain period of time. If that child doesn't follow the rules, they send them back to us. We have to take them. They don't have to keep them. They keep the money, so what are we going to do about providing education for that child that they sent back to us? We don't have any money for that child. The charter school has it. They can afford more stuff than we can because they're keeping money that we should have at the public school level. We're not getting it. They have a contract and that says that that parent has to do this, that parent has to do that, that child has to do this. We can't make a child sign a contract in the public school. You can't teach a child when you've got 20+ kids in a room and you have to take every 15 minutes to redirect little Johnny or little Sally, but you can't put them out. We need an alternative placement for those students who cannot perform in a regular education classroom, because if we don't provide for those students, we're not going to be able to teach those students who want to learn. And the charter schools can't take everybody.
Let me say that I am a support of any school that a parent wants their child to go to. Everybody understand that it's a parent's choice because that child belongs to the parent. Child want to go to the charter school, that's fine. The private school, that's fine. I have no problem with that. Why I'm running for Board of Education? Because I want to take what we have and make the best out of it. We in the public schools got to take whatever comes through the door and we got to make the best out of it. And what I want Northampton County to do, to be prepared to make the very best out of everything that comes through the door. Charter school, private schools, different. But public schools, we got to make the very best out of what comes through that door. And in Northampton County, we've got to provide, despite of parents not being there, despite of drug problems, despite of all those other negatives, we've got to bring them to Northampton County and we've got to educate them. And to educate them, you've got to have the right folks in the school to educate our children who have all those kinds of problems. So I stand to say, yes, charter schools fine, private schools fine, I have no problem with those. But what I am concerned about are all the other kids, because I might have a neighbor that children didn't have the opportunity to go to the charter school and have that graduation rate. So what I got to do, I got to be concerned about the public schools, because I want every child, all children, to have opportunities.
The biggest threat to homeland security is not an extremist group in the Middle East. The biggest threat to homeland security in the United States of America is our very own education system. Education has changed. 2 years ago, there was an international study of the math and reading ability of the average 15-year-old. Out of 31 industrialized countries, the United States placed 27. 27. We used to be at the top of technology, industry. Now we're slowly and quickly, rather, sinking to the bottom. When we look at education and look at the charter school is not working magic. They take the same students from the same parents in the same communities, and they get a different result because they're using the best practices in education. We can't keep doing what we did 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Education changes by the minute. When you look at the best practices, they decrease the clock hours. Do you know who was number 1, 2, and 3? Korea, Japan, and China. Do you know why? Because their students go to school year-round. By the time a student graduates in Korea, they would have had 4 years of educational days in their calendar. So they come out as seniors in high school almost with a college degree compared to our students. Glad you said 180 days, Lot. If you subtract 365 days of the year, you subtract 180. I told you I'm an engineer, I love numbers. You get 185. 185. So our students spend 50% of their time in a year not doing academic things. GCP increases the clock hours, 8 to 5. They give students more time to learn, positive behavior support program, and that's what creates a brighter future. We can't say that we can't because we can, but we've got to get board members to set the right policies and make sure that our employees follow the policies, and you will get students to achieve.